with them right now, Emma.
I didn't think you did. Right?
about
There's a
me?
double
But
standard. This is a ridiculous
I am
argument.
against that. I'm for the Clinton Foundation. You want to talk about free speech? Why have you not said anything about
You're for the Clinton
WikiLeaks
Foundation?
and
Saudi
then
Arabia funded the Clinton Foundation, the
Yes,
very
exactly.
country
And
you
WikiLeaks-
just said that committed genocide.
Okay, exactly. Okay, I got it.
Oh, he has a point.
So,
I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't really even know what's going on at this point. I think he's completely off the hinges at this. I don't know what he's doing. He's losing me.
So you talked about promises made, promises kept, right, about
Yes.
Trump. So I want to talk about some things that you have previously said in the past that maybe you would disagree with Trump on now. So the first thing is, so Obama, you called out the other day on Twitter for increasing drone strikes and not getting us out of the quote-unquote endless wars. So I want to know why you have not criticized President Trump for disagreeing with Congress trying to get out of Yemen, why he has not gotten people out of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, everywhere else around the globe. And then also why you have not called him out for proposing $1.5 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, $25 billion in cuts to Social Security, and $845 billion in Medicare.
Okay, I'll start with the first one. First of all, he is ending the endless wars. He's proposed troop withdrawals in Afghanistan and
So
Syria.
why did he veto a bill last week to get out of Yemen?
Well, the Yemen conflict does not actually involve the United States except us selling weaponry to Saudi Arabia, which I actually oppose. If you actually look at
So
my
why
Twitter
did you
feed-
not announce that you were opposed
why don't
to
you
him?
type in...
Dang, can he talk? Can he talk? Can he talk? Like, when I watch these type of debates, it's always that one student who just... like, bro, I don't know a lot about these topics. This is why I do these type of videos. I really don't. I know it may seem like I do. I'm pretty smart, but I don't know a lot about these topics. And I tell y'all straight up, I don't. So when I watch these debates, I learn. This is how I learn about a lot of things that go on. Then I research it afterwards. But when you have a student who just refuses to let the other person talk, it's hard for me to listen. Dang, bro. Like, relax.
And at Charlie Kirk 11, Saudi Arabia, and my comments on Saudi Arabia have been very, very clear.
Yeah, but this is the time where it would matter that you would actually say something.
Would you expect me to have a comment on everything he ever does in the history of anything?
Well, getting out of a war is kind of a big deal if you're saying you want smaller government,
We're
right?
not fighting in Yemen. There's no U.S. troops.
We're supporting a genocide in Yemen, actually.
Okay.
And if we didn't,
I
then
think we'd have some
it would not
agreement,
continue.
Again, with the Saudi-led conflict there. I'm no huge fan of Saudi Arabia. They funded 9/11. They were behind 9/11. 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian. I'm also very critical of Iran. I think a balanced analysis of Middle East will show that both Saudi Arabia and Iran have funded extremism in forms of Wahhabism, in forms of both terror financing, Hamas,
So
Hezbollah.
why have you not called out President Trump, who violated the Emoluments Clause by allowing Saudi Arabian billionaires prior to his inauguration to buy spaces in his hotel in exchange for access
Well,
to
first
the
of all, it's
president?
not a violation of the Emoluments Clause because they're independent customers at a property that he has a lease.
What I'm assuming is that this young man is basically trying to say, well, since you like Trump so much, you look at everything positive he does, but you don't look at anything negative he does. And that's kind of, that's an interesting point, but here's my question for you. Why when like Obama does something, or I'm not even gonna say Obama, anybody in society does something, I'm not gonna just say Barack Obama. That's just another person I thought of. But usually when you like somebody, you don't call out anything negative they do. Or if you do call out something negative, you don't make it a point to call out majority negative things. You're usually going to talk about the positive things they do. And that's with anybody in life. That's if you like an athlete. Like, I'm a LeBron James fan. And I know LeBron James, he not the best dribbler. He probably do be flopping sometimes. But I'm not going to call that stuff out. I'm going to call out the greatness he does. So it's kind of the same way when you look at a president. Or a different figure that you appreciate. It's not normal to call out everything negative they do. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because when you're talking about someone like, I guess, Trump, for example, it's not a natural thing to bring up negative things they do, because in any other circumstance, you wouldn't expect somebody to bring up negative things they do to anybody else. But since it's Trump, you expect it. Like, that's not really fair, I guess. But anyways, let's continue.
That's a really convoluted argument.
Okay, so
But if
so
you
you're
like-
admitting
again-
that there's a conflict of interest in some asset, and he's going to be the president tomorrow. So you think
So
that's okay?
when you have a multi-billionaire running for
but you're so
offices
against these
with over
Saudi Arabian
100
billionaires,
properties
Oh.
right?
across the world, you can't be accountable for the hundreds of thousands of customers that run through your properties.
The hundreds of thousands, as in the Saudi government, who
Hundreds of
bought-
thousands of people. And by the way, so let me ask you a question. What did the Trump family and Trump enterprise do to any official or person affiliated with a foreign government that stayed at any of their properties? What did they do with that money?
I don't know.
They gave it back to the government, because if you were so informed, you would know that. So that's how
Okay, so
so they actually, that's how it did not at all violate the
Yeah, like all I was saying previously is that when people don't like they do it. I've noticed they do it with Trump, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that much about him. I really don't. Even I never really sat down and researched all the stuff he did. But the thing about me, I'm just gonna tell y'all I don't know. I'm not gonna fake like I do know when I sit in these videos. I don't know. But anyways, when they look at people like Trump, I guess they put his actions under a microscope and they critique every little thing he does. But my thing is, you don't do that with nobody else. So it's like, oh, he did this right here. That's not fair, because that's not how humans critique humans. If they did something crazy, you're like, all right, that's an insane thing. But when you start critiquing every single action they do, that's kind of obsessive in a way. But anyways, let's continue.
anomalous clause.
okay, so they
because
basically
gave it back.
tried, got caught, and then gave the money back. Sounds like a good plan.
Well, no, they preemptively saw the potential issue and they avoided it. And so, again, if you want some agreement in Middle East, I'm happy to talk about how the U.S. has been actually, I think, too tilted in a
Then
direction.
tweet one thing that's not about Obama and his drone strikes, but about how
Again.
Trump has increased drone strikes in his
So,
first
first
2
of
years
all, that's
of
not
presidency.
correct. Drone strikes have gone down
yes,
dramatically.
Yes, it is.
I have
Everyone
praised-
has to have Google, look it up.
Right, so
All right.
I've praised
And
the
also,
troop withdrawal
he
in
just
Syria,
Wait,
troop
can I just
withdrawal in
say,
Afghanistan.
it's his personal Twitter feed. So this is, I always find it weird when people tell me what to tweet. Like, I get your,
By the way,
you want
I'm
to
not
know what
the
he
press
thinks.
says he's so angry
stop,
about
stop.
it and wants
You
to
want to
end
know
all
what he
wars,
thinks?
right?
That's
And
fine.
he
You can
hasn't
ask
tweeted about
him. You
ending
can't
a
tell him
single
what
one.
to tweet.
By the way, I'm not the press secretary of the United States.
is like insane.
You pretty much repeat everything that the press secretary says, don't you?
Well, no,
You're a
actually,
talking
I
head for
expound on
billionaires.
it. I talk about different
That's who
things.
funds your organization, and that's why
You're right.
here.
We're funded by
Saudi
over
funds our-
Hey, I know what's crazy about this? What is insane about this video? The guy just said he's a talking head for billionaires. If you were to say that today, like right now, that would be the most insane take ever, because when this is recorded, it was during a different time. Like you could really say a conservative man was the talking head of billionaires, and I guess that was the talking point back then. Right now, it is complete I'm not gonna say opposite, because I don't know any liberal talking heads. I really don't. But now you can't say that. So it's crazy how times have changed, or how talking points have changed, or narratives are different now. It's like he would be a rebel today. He would really be a rebel today. It is insane.
5,000 grassroots donors across the country with hundreds of thousands
Those
of
grassroots,
students
those
on
grassroots
1,400 high
donors
school
that
and
you
college
won't
campuses
make
across the
public
country.
because you don't want to.
We list over 200 of our donors on our website. We're funded by some of the most successful
Point
entrepreneurs
USA.
from the bottom
Right
up,
there.
and we love the fact
Charlie.
that we are funded by job creators.
Don't
we
you love
job
that the
creators?
only 501c3 organizations that they want to make their donors public are all conservative? Like, you think he goes after all the liberal ones and says make your donors public? Absolutely not. There's always a double standard. You probably don't go after all of the other liberal organizations
I go
and
after
say
Think
make.
Progress.
And you told
who
them to make
funds
their.
them
Did
then?
you show up at their? Who funds them then?
Tandon, what?
So you asked them? Did you tell them to make their donors public?
I'm not
No.
with them right now, am I?
I didn't think you did. Right?
about
There's-
And this is what I'm talking about. The same thing that you do, you're getting on Charlie Kirk for allegedly doing it. You say that, well, you only look at Trump's positive actions. You didn't look at anything negative you do. You're doing the same thing with the donor groups. You're not looking at any of the donor groups that support your message. You're not looking at any of their actions under a microscope. But when it comes to Trump, you did. And I'm not saying that because I like Trump. I'm going to tell y'all, I don't know a lot about him. I don't know a lot about his enemy or his competitor either. I don't. I say it. I have no shame. I'm an engineering student. But what I do know is that you're being completely irrational and unfair in your thinking right now. You want your competitor, or you want your adversary to be held to this super high standard of perfection. But when it comes to someone you like, you're like, I'm not really looking at their stuff like that. I don't know what they're doing. Come on now.
Double standard. This is a ridiculous
I am
argument.
against that. I'm for the Clinton Foundation. You want to talk about free speech? Why have you not said anything about
You're for the Clinton Foundation?
and
Saudi Arabia funded the Clinton Foundation, the
Yes,
very
exactly.
country
And
you
WikiLeaks-
just said that committed genocide.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, he has a point. I didn't know that.
So Saudi Arabia, right? They funded the Clinton Foundation, correct?
Say that what?
Saudi Arabia funded the Clinton Foundation. Do you know how we found out about that? WikiLeaks, right? Yes, that's how that information was released in the DNC emails. Okay, so you have not denounced Trump at all for basically changing the way journalism functions by arresting Julian Assange, which is probably the most important free speech case
First of all, he didn't
in American
arrest
history.
Julian Assange.
The only person
he was
who's revealed
evicted
war
from
crimes
the
other than Glenn
Ecuadorian
Greenwald.
embassy and arrested by UK officials. Donald Trump did not go with
This has nothing to do with
handcuffs
that.
to London and arrest Julian
If
Assange.
you don't think that Julian Assange was arrested and is going to be extradited to the United States because he pissed
Has he
off
been?
the elites of this country, then you are clearly not informed on WikiLeaks.
Okay, so now
at
you're
all.
going forward about things that haven't happened, and you want Charlie to debate that?
So you want me to denounce a conspiracy
Oh,
theory?
Yeah,
okay.
this
A
is-
conspiracy
we can't
theory?
debate
How
something that
about
hasn't happened.
the Trump administration has attempted to
Right, we're not
extradite.
informed about the future. You are
they
correct.
have said that they wanted to extradite Julian Assange, correct?
Okay, but you just said that we were not informed if we don't think that they're going to, in the future.
Okay, but
Extradite.
what if they do? Can you
Well,
agree
why are
to
we doing
publicly
this? Is so
defend
weird.
Julian
We can't
Assange,
have an imaginary
who has revealed
conversation.
war crimes
We can't have an imaginary
committed by our
conversation.
government? Please tell me that you will denounce him being arrested for doing so.
I refuse. First of all, I hope you never go to law school because you should never engage in a hypothetical or something that hasn't yet happened. So I
happened.
refuse to engage
It's a weird
in
debate.
Yeah, I don't really even know what's going on at this point. I think he's completely off the hinges at this. I don't know what he's doing. He's losing it. He's literally and figuratively losing it right now. And my thing is, he could be right. Like, when you have someone like me watching this and I don't know anything about either side, you could, like, if you were coming with facts, data, statistics, speaking in a reasonable voice, you will convince way more people. But it's like you went up there with a vendetta. You're like, I'm gonna attack Charlie Kirk. I'm gonna one up him on this one right here. I have it written down, and he just completely destroyed the argument. Now what? You just making up situations. Now they just making you look like a fool. If I was you, I would just sit down. I would just leave at this point. It's nothing you can really say.
be in conflict.
You strawman more than any other person that I've ever seen. So the fact
mean
that
facts?
you're talking about hypotheticals is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So use one example of a straw man.
Okay, you talk about taxes every time. You talk about how the unemployment rate is so low.
Yeah, the lowest ever black,
That's
Hispanic,
taxes are so
Asian,
low.
disabled,
Do you want
women,
to talk?
and youth
Let's talk
unemployment.
about new income. Where is new income going?
Wages are up for the first time in 10 years.
Okay,
Right.
well,
Not
in
bad.
Missouri, manufacturing wages in Missouri over the last 15 years have gone up 15%, and wages have gone up 0.09%. So maybe if we stopped outsourcing jobs like President Trump is doing, then we could actually do something
You know
about
that President Trump has the greatest increase in manufacturing jobs in the last 30 years?
Well,
over
why-
500,000
Why has he not
manufacturing
called
jobs
out?
to come back to
Why
America
has he not
under
called out
President
GM?
Trump. So let's get. Thank you for the spirited
question,
conversation.
but we have a lot of other people
Why-
ask some questions as well. So thank you for the question.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. That was a hard watch. That was a hard watch. But if you have any suggestions for me, comment them down below, and I'll see y'all the next one. Peace.